Hello, this is Jared. I'm playing Oxygen Not Included. In this episode, I'm going to be working on a cooling system, and this is going to be based on natural things, that geyser in particular. So that's giving me brine, cold brine, which is really nice. But just having a cold spot in this base, just sitting over here, really doesn't do me any good. What I want to be able to do is have some pumping system that's going to send material, some sort of liquid that goes through this in radiant pipes, and take a hot liquid that comes from other parts of the base and cool it down. So that's going to do two things. One, it's going to actually raise the temperature of the brine so I can actually pump out the brine and convert it to water. Because if I do that in a negative temperature, it's actually going to break. The other thing that I want to do is actually just do cooling. So wherever I have machinery or something that is too hot, I want to have pipes in there that go take liquid through that hot zone, get that heat over here, and then take the coolness back to that spot. So that is the goal. And what I'm doing now is I'm just building pipes around, or tiles rather, around this pump. And the idea here is that I want my pipes, my radiant pipes, to go through those tiles. And this is the most important spot in particular because I've got a pump that's going to actually be pumping the brine out. And I really want to make sure that the brine that it pumps out is above 0 degrees in net temperature. So that's the idea here. So now let's have a look at the area that I actually want to cool. I've got two ethanol buildings here and they are producing a lot of heat. So what I want to do is I want to have radiant pipes to go around that spot. That's going to take some sort of liquid that goes through there. And then I'm going to put it in an infinite loop from that cold spot to the hot spot, essentially changing or exchanging the temperatures between those zones. So I've got my geyser producing cold brine. I've got the ethanol buildings producing heat. If I can send some sort of liquid to go back and forth, I'm going to be able to exchange that heat, increasing the temperature of the brine and decreasing the temperature of the ethanol station. And the only spot I need the radiant pipe is around the actual cooling spot and the heating spot. Everything in between can just be regular pipes as it's transporting that material around. While my dupes are working on that, let's go over to the inverted world here, see a few other things that need to be cleaned up. So I'm going to actually get rid of stuff that no longer is used. So I'm actually going to have this brine line here visit that top of the steam turbines. But I don't have the full thing working just yet. I need to actually connect this in such a way. Oh, I'm going to have to destroy a pipe and be able to connect this correctly. Okay, quite a few of those liquid reservoirs. Don't necessarily need that much for this situation, but that's just because I have a ton of brine that I brought into this world. And in the previous episode, or some point shortly long ago, I switched the other line, the cooling line, from this brine to ethanol. Hence why I now am needing to cool the base, because I've got those ethanol buildings producing ethanol for this world. Alright, I think we're good over here. I'm going to send one of my dupes in the main world on a mission to explore some spots in space, to figure out what these question marks are. They could either be comets or mining locations. And I'll want to have access to those in time, so having them start to be revealed to me is going to be awesome. So all I need for that is a standard rocket. I will have all the materials for the dupe to be able to survive: food, oxygen, production, and of course the cryptographic module, which is needed when you have new areas in space that you want to visit. So I'll be doing a lot of space missions with that module. And then once everything is discovered in space, I won't need the cryptographic module anymore from that point on. So that rocket is taken off. First thing I'm going to do when I have a rocket go off is take off the suit, so they're not wasting that, and they can just breathe the natural air that's inside. And they'll be able to survive. They got everything they need: sleep, place to sleep, use the washroom, find food, oxygen, all that good stuff. So 1.5 cycles, they'll be there. Let's have a look at this heat exchange system between the cold geyser and those ethanol production system. It's looking pretty good. I just have a simple line going back and forth. And I've already noticed a huge change in my ethanol distillery. So temperature has gone way down over there. In the last episode, I've created 2 steam turbines that are going to be cooling hot magma on the left. I want to have access to this spot over further on the right, so that I've got 2 different steam turbines that I'm able to both capture power from, but in more long term, actually also going to be cooling different areas of that hot magma, so I can eventually use it for things. So it's going to be much later down the line. I've noticed that things have slowed down a little bit in the inverted world. So I'm actually going to send a dupe over. One of the things I know that they'll need to do is a lot of digging. So that's why I'm sending a digger over here. And now that they're here, they've had their skills scrubbed. That's because their environment that is not going to make them as happy as they used to be. So I'm going to give them some carrying skills, hard digging, and yeah, they'll do some digging spots the other dupes don't have access to. So that's going to be a good thing. Let's clear out this zone. This is a spot that I'm trying to form ice or maintain ice in some cases so that I can get sleet wheat to grow here in large quantities. One of the things that can cause a lot of trouble with this overall system trying to fill water and freeze it is I've got a little bit of ethanol. I don't know. Dang. Anyway, I have to clean that up. But I want to clean up certainly the ethanol, but I also want to clean up the polluted water that's sitting around there, because that polluted water melts at a lower temperature. So let's get rid of that tiny bit of ethanol. Not going to be able to freeze that at temperatures that I want to aim for. But yeah, let's start to remove all the polluted water from the zones, because if that fills in any of those pockets, if I do freeze them, it's at more of a risk of melting compared to water or ice turning into water rather. I have discovered a new asteroid. So it looks like the cold world, Chilion. So yeah, okay, that's awesome. I won't be going there anytime soon, but it's nice to know where that is. And actually, before I send this rocket back, I think it can visit. Oh yeah, we're definitely good. It's going to visit this question mark before it goes back home. So this rocket actually will discover 2 points for us, and then get back, recharge, and then I'll send another rocket out, continuing this exploration process. This is an exciting moment. So this is the first time I'm now pumping ethanol through the base that contains all the water that I want to turn to ice. So this is going to do a good job of getting that down, because I can cool ethanol to be much cooler than brine, which is what I had before. So I'm going to aim, let's put minus 35, and then if that's above that temperature, it's going to put it into that aquatuner. Also very important here that I close this spot up, because that spot there is going to turn to steam, and I don't want that to escape on top of the steam turbine. That's not the idea. A new unknown spot has been discovered. It has saltwater, brine, salt, and ice. Not that useful, but anyway, it's nice to uncover what it is. And I'll send this rocket back. Actually, I've got 12. What's best? Can I risk possibly going to one more? 7 of 12. No, let's go back, recharge, and I'll send it back out to discover some more stuff. So I'm at the point where I have enough ethanol in the inverted world. So I want to connect water back into this system. And this water is going to be used to fill those pockets that need to be turned to ice. So still need quite a bit of water just to be able to do that. So connect into this. I'll make sure that my water production remains high, because that's going to be a big drain on my water for the next little while that's filling up. When I do get water in here, it's going to be very important that I don't mix that in with the ethanol line, because I do not want it to go into that. Rather, I want it to go into the various pockets where I want to freeze water, ice, and eventually use that with spots that I'm going to build, or rather grow, sleet wheat. Rocket has returned and recharged. So I now have enough energy to do full 20 tiles. Let's send it up here to see what that is, and to see if they can do anything else or have them come back and recharge. I'll keep doing this process until I discover every single thing in this world, so I can take advantage of all the asteroids and mining locations that it has to give me. I drilled out to the spot where I want to build 2 steam turbines. This is the main base, and essentially want to take power from the hot magma out. And for doing this process, I need a few different pipelines. I'm going to want to pipe in some water and some brine to be able to do this. Essentially, it's going to be a very similar system that I built on the left side with steam turbines. Just as the other steam turbine has a vacuum area that it operates in, it's more about, it's not so much that that needs to be a vacuum, but when I dig out the spot underneath it that is in contact with the hot magma, I very much need that to be in a vacuum so it doesn't interact with the temperature. And furthermore, when I dump water in it, if I dump water in a vacuum, I know that everything in that space is going to turn to steam rather than having a mix. Because one thing you don't want to do is have something like oxygen that is above the steam and not allowing the steam turbine to run. So if you could dump water into a vacuum area that can get really hot, that's going to do a lot better than if you've got other materials in there. So it looks like this rocket's not going to be discovering not 1 and not 2, but 3 different things. I just wanted to get that rocket to move over one space, figure out what that question mark is there, and then I'll go back, recharge, and I'll send it somewhere else. Actually, I might be able to get it to continue on its way to see if anything's down there. This area here may look a little strange. What it's going to do for me is actually aid in the process of using pips to plant sleet wheat. And you'll see how this is done later on. But I've got a little button here to open close the door. But the big trick is to put all the material of a particular type on an asteroid into that bin. And I can enable that material to either be in the world or out of the world with respect to the dupes, essentially by clicking on a button. And why I would want to do that is something that you'll need to see in a future episode once I start getting the pips to plant wild sleet wheat here. I'm going to do a little bit more prepping to begin the process of getting pips to plant sleet wheat. So here I have some ice, which is excellent. That should have no problem maintaining that temperature. So I'm feeling comfortable with getting a zone I can dump some pips in. Now I can block that off. That's why I've got those tiles there. I've got a door so that the dupes can go through and a drop off point. And that's where I'm going to put the different pips in. The other thing that I need is a ration box, and this is where I'm going to put the sleet wheat seeds so that the pips can be able to find those and then put them, dig them into the ice and other materials that are frozen, and then I'll be able to get sleet wheat. Now, one thing that I can't do at this point is take a pip to this world, unless I send it via rocket. But I don't want to have to involve a rocket since I have this teleportation system. So I'm actually going to send some pip eggs over and just wait for them to slowly hatch. And because I still have a lot of work in that inverted world, doing some digging, filling some water in that, I'm not too worried about the fact that it's going to take a long time to get these eggs to be sent to over. And yeah, so those will be picked up. Yeah, it may take a bit, but I'm in no rush, as I mentioned. So I might start the process of sending more eggs over in time, and then have those hatch, and then start the process of actually getting pips to create some wild sleet wheat, finally. I'm going to finish off today with starting the process of creating a vacuum. I see I need a little bit more heavy wires. And then eventually over here, I'm going to vacuum area, and I can build my next set of steam turbines that's going to start the process of cooling that hot magma. Till the next episode.